Hi, hello, everyone. Welcome back with Conversations with Cece. I am super elated to have my guest here on tonight. She is a very special woman of God and definitely a jewel in the kingdom. Her name is none other than Mrs. Davis Foreman. And so at this time, I am going to allow her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about who she is.
Hi, Cece. How are you?
Oh, well,
Great.
sleeping, but well.
Great. Well, thank you for having me on tonight. I feel honored and blessed that you are willing to hear whatever it is that I have to say. When I got your message, I was thoroughly blessed and was like, oh, wow, someone wants to talk to me. So thank you for that. Like you said, I'm Shinnitta Davis Foreman. I am first a woman of God. Secondly, I am married to my wonderful husband, Barrett Foreman, and together we have one son, Demadrick Foreman. We call him Maud. He's 25 now, girl. Oh wow, but
Ooh,
25 years old. Yes. Um, yeah. So we have him together, and I live in Russ, but work for Westwood ISD, located in Palestine, Texas, where I am the special education director currently. Just kind of just through the education realm, just kind of done it all. I was a teacher, an assistant principal, and now director. So that's it. I am a member of West Union Faith Ministry, where my pastor is none other than my father-in-law, Jimmy Lee Foreman. So at West Union Faith Ministry, we're located here in Russ, Texas. So that's where I fellowship, join, love. Been there for many, many years. Very active in a church. When I was able to be active, sang in a choir. My husband plays the drums. We're just all active in ministry. So um, that's me. That's who I am.
yes, awesome, awesome. So it definitely loving the well-roundedness of having your grounding in the church and
Mhm.
having your faith geared and grounded in the word of God. And so again, thank you, Mrs. Foreman, for spending this time with me tonight and telling us your story. And so we'll just jump into it because I know you have
Please
some.
call me Shanita. Just call me Shanita.
Okay, yes, ma'am, Miss Shanita.
You can call me Shanita.
Yes, ma'am. So my first question is this: what was the exact moment you realized this experience that you had was a life-changing experience?
Okay, so let me give a little backstory for those listening who may not know. So on December the 12th, December 23, completely changed my life. I was hit on my way home. I was hit by a drunk driver, a little young kid. He was 23 years old. He ended up passing away, died on the scene of the wreck. And from there, it left my world upside down. I went from being everything that I was able to do, walking around, being just my happy-go-lucky, to now wheelchair bound, bedridden, and just a different way of life. And so that was the moment when I did not realize that day that I got hit. I didn't wake up until the following days, and a nurse woke me up and she was like, "Hey, do you know where you're at?" And I was like, looking around the room like, "No, where am I?" She's like, "You're in a hospital," and told me the severity of my damages, saying that I can't walk. I was pretty much paralyzed. Almost, at the time they didn't know what was going on, pretty much paralyzed, and that I would be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And so it was that particular moment that I had to process it, of course, and had to think about, what it was. And my husband, I don't remember telling him this, but he told me that I said, it doesn't matter if they have to cut my legs off. All I want to do is live. And so I know I know my thoughts. He said I told him that, but my thoughts were, I choose life. I choose joy. and I choose happiness, and I choose positivity. And so that moment made me think that that shaped my whole frame of mind. So that moment in the hospital, laying in a bed in ICU, I remember that moment, and that's the moment that changed my life forever.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you all know this, but we did work in the same organization at one point in time. And so
Yes.
I always remembered you, just this big smile. I think
Mhm.
we had some type of meeting and I can't remember the details, but I walked in. I think I was a little bit nervous because, I was this shy kid growing up, didn't really want to speak to people and interact and engage, and very much an introvert, uh, to the core introvert. So, yes, I love the aspect of working with other leaders and working with kids and working with administrators. And so, matriculating through the educational system, and really gleaning and learning a lot along the way, I ran into you. The first time I met you, we were at a service center, I believe, and
Mhm.
you had the brightest smile. You just,
Thank you.
because whenever I go into places, you're nervous. I don't know what people think about this, but you're like, okay, where am I going to sit? Who is going to be there? What are they going to talk about?
Right.
And so I had all of this noise going on. And I remember, just putting my little purse down and bag down and sitting down. And everybody else was just basically congregating and having conversations. And I remember I was sitting there, and usually I'm always sitting by myself somewhere. But you came up to me. You was like, "Hi, my name is," and you introduced yourself, and you had the brightest smile throughout the entire meeting. What I can't remember what training we were at, but
Uh-huh.
her smile just lit up the room. And I mean, I was like, okay, just warming up. I was like, okay. And I mean, and you just kept smiling, just your positivity, even when we were thrown with, I think, a challenge or a scenario that day.
Mhm.
And you just smiled through it. You had to answer all of these questions, but I mean, you just smile through it, and I continuously see that. Yes, from afar, but you are still smiling. You're still choosing joy. And that was the first time I've ever met you. Like I said, I didn't know anything about you, but just
Mhm.
to see the light of joy up on your face, like, made the difference. Like, all of my anxiety and idiosyncrasies and my introvert self was able to kind of bring those walls down and say, okay,
Mhm.
just a friendly face. And that makes all the difference. I don't know if people know what other people are thinking or going through, or that type of anxiety that they possess. But I mean, just your smile alone, changed the entire atmosphere and the experience for me to where I felt comfortable. And I don't think we sat beside each other, but I think we sat kind of adjacent from each other. And I just will look at you, then I'll look at the presenter, then I'll look at you and shake my head and nod, and I'll look back. So you just had just an indelible imprint of just remembering who you were. Just that first meeting of you just really impressed me. And plus, I knew based on your spirit that you were a kind woman. You were a woman of integrity. You were a woman that stood for what was right. Based on what you were saying that day, I was like, oh, yes, yes, yes. I know the people, they talk about the verse in the Bible, knowing the people, knowing others by the fruit that they bear. And of
Yes.
course,
Mhm.
at that particular juncture, I knew you were a godly, God fearing woman, and that someone who would be worthy of all the accolades and the awards and the honor and the trust that God has bestowed upon you to carry out his divine assignment. So that's a little bit of backstory. I don't know if you remember me that day, but I
I do remember you that day.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So um
I
go
remember because I always thought you always had the prettiest eyes to me. Your eyes are just so beautiful to me. And so that's when I was like, oh, this girl has the lady. Well, I say girl, but you're lady that has beautiful eyes. And so that's always what I remember about you is just your eyes and just sparkle.
oh well, thank you. Thank you. Well, yes, ma'am. So, based on the experience and you going through that, I choose being positive. What beliefs or values did you hold before this experience, and how have they evolved?
Well, the thing of it is, I've always been a positive person. I mean, I know this about myself, and others see this and know this about me too. And so, no matter what comes my way, I always try to put some type of spin on it to make it positive because I can't operate in a negative. If I don't want to go to a place um, to where I can't come back. And so, I've never gone to that place. And so, I don't ever know what it's like to go there, but I know my ceiling is positivity, and so I try to stay there. And um, this the event that the wreck, I'm just going to call it the wreck that has happened with me. It's that moment in time, like I told you, I was in the hospital bed. I chose that, and that's what I've been going. I said I'm going to live by. I'm going to followed by. Now, don't get me wrong when I say that I've not had some down times or some upset times to where, oh, I might have shed some tears because my life has changed. But my tears were never from, oh, I won't, I still believe in God. I know God's going to have me walking one day again. But it's never because, oh, whoa, me, I've been in this accident. It's always the tears will come from my independence. I've always been an independent person, and now I have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing support system.
Yeah.
I am so blessed. Um, but my husband and my son spends like my sisters, my mother and my whole family helps me out. But my husband and my son are here with me day in and day out, and they've been there since day one. Like when I had my accident, my husband never left my side the entire time I was in the hospital. He stayed there, spent the night, slept on the couch. I mean, every single day, did not go anywhere until I had um, come home. I mean, and he just recently went back to work, but he was there by my side nonstop. And so, um, with that being said, he, has to help me do everything, because like I said, I'm confined really to the bedroom, to the wheelchair bed, to the wheelchair. And he, not having that independence and, I'm not much of a good cook, but I do try to cook, and so, but he's taken on those responsibilities and my mom helps out as well. And my mother-in-law, they all, cook for me and do things like that, and some family members as well. But he does the bulk of everything. And having not been able to do that, those are the things I get kind of upset about because I want to do those things. I'm supposed to do those things, or things are not coming fast enough for me. And then I have to remind myself, okay, be patient, Shinnitta, be patient. And so those are the things that will make me shed the tears. I'm never crying because I had the accident, because I know without a shadow of doubt that God allowed this to happen to me for a purpose, for a reason. Now I'm still discovering that purpose because I want to know what message is it he want me to tell everyone and share his word before for this message. I haven't discovered that yet. It hasn't been revealed to me, but I know there's a purpose. And I'm still discovering it. However, I know he wouldn't have put this on me if he thought I couldn't handle it. And so I choose to walk in it. I not literally walk because I can't, but I choose to walk in this journey and go along this journey. And one of these days, I know that God is going to reveal my purpose and say, "Hey, this is why I have you going through this." You know, I know this may sound kind of crazy to some, but the whole time me and my husband was in the hospital with each other, like we've been married 21 years, and
Wow.
yes, bless you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. 22 in April. But he is my best friend. And so we've always had a real close knit relationship. And like he works, I work, we get off work. And I felt like, we were just, working, like when he gets home, I work late sometimes and a lot of the times, and he works. And so we'll see each other at night. We'll catch up briefly during our day. And then on weekends, we catch up. And so we still, the love never fades. We just kind of passing it by through the week. But I feel like one of the purposes God maybe allowed this to happen to me and him is because we've grown so much closer. I mean, we were already close, but it's like we I thought I was in love with him. Like I gave him my whole heart, and it's like my whole heart has gone out even more to him.
Wow.
And we're just that much more in love and just that more connected. And because we prayed together, we cried together, we laughed together, and so I feel like that's one of the purposes that God allowed this to happen. But the bigger purpose, I know there's something else there, and so I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's how I see it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just the love and the closeness and the bond that you two now share. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. We always say the cliche that, God will take lemons and make lemonade out of it. And so just developing something sweet out of this experience between the both of
Mhm.
you that, and I think
Yes.
I'm going on a limb and saying this, but you all are soulmates, to go
We
through
are.
something like that. And yes, become that much more loving and caring, and just to have that stronger bond of unity within your marriage. That is an amazing testament that with
Yes.
the right person, you can go through anything. You can walk through the fire when you have the assignment that is connected to you instead of an assassin connected to you.
Exactly. I love that. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. God is always faithful. Yes, ma'am. So,
Mhm.
thank you for sharing that experience with us. And you talked about the relationship with your husband and how you've grown stronger. But what about the relationships with even your son and your mom and your mother-in-law and your sisters? How have those relationships and those dynamics, how have they changed and become stronger, as well as them being your support system?
Um, we've again always had a pretty close knit family. My with when you talk about me and my mother in law, I'll start with her first, and my father in law. We every Sunday after church, we go over to their house and have dinner every Sunday. It wasn't a thing past, and that was one of the things we kind of connect and we have conversations and we just cut up. We have the best time. And when I had my accident, of course, that stopped. And when I was able to come and get, visitors, instead of them coming over, to her house, my mother-in-law and father-in-law was like, no, we're going to continue our Sunday dinners. And so they would bring food every Sunday, cook food, to the hospital, along with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Tarek and Keisha, and they would bring food every Sunday, and it still is going. I'm out of the hospital. I've been out of the hospital, and I can't go to them, but they come to me every Sunday, and so we still have that bonding time. We still have that, eat and laugh, and we take a nap. If my father-in-law goes to sleep, I see his eyes closed, so I'm gonna close my eyes. We take a little rest, and then but they stay over here till late, and we just have the best time, just conversating about God, about just life, about relationships, about marriage. I mean, we just have the best conversations. My mom, she comes over here every day. My husband's back at work now, and she sits with me and helps my son out every day and helps take care of me. With everything that I need throughout the day. She's been such a blessing. I just love her dearly. she's my heart. That's my baby. But she has. I mean, it's a big ask to come. Somebody. My husband goes to work at 7:30 and gets off. Supposed to be 5, but sometimes he don't make it home 5:36. And so she drives. She lives in Jacksonville. She drives here every morning and stays throughout late, and she'll cook for us throughout the day and clean my house. I mean, she does everything. Make sure I'm just there, and she's that's a huge ask to ask someone to sacrifice like that for you don't have to, especially on any days, rainy days, cloudy days, wherever. She just makes that huge sacrifice, and I am extremely blessed to have her in my life. And then my son, who okay, so 3 days before I had my accident, he graduated from college with his bachelor's in criminal justice from UT Tyler.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yes, so proud of him. He has a
Yes.
certificate and juvenile probation as well as Homeland Security. So we're so proud of him. My husband and I are extremely proud of him. Well, he's 24 at the time, set to start his life and go on, and he's completely put everything on the back burner for me. Put his career on hold, put his life on hold to help take care of me and help, be here every day. And of course, I had that mommy guilt at first and like, oh, I feel bad that you have to do this for me and everything. He was like, no, mama, I want to be here for you. I want to help you. I want to take care of you. It's no big deal. And so because I felt, just, mommy guilt, just felt bad that, he's having to put his life on hold to help take care of me. And he's reassured me over and over and over, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. So
Yeah,
I've been blessed.
yeah.
Um, I feel like I'm just blessed.
Damn. And that
And like,
that is amazing to have the support
mhm,
system with your family and with your friends, your sisters, your brothers, your son, your
yes.
husband. Uh,
And my sister, she lives in Salina, and she comes down. My sister Chanel, every time she'll come visit, and she'll spend hours with me just to sit and talk and play with me. She'll bring her little card games or whatever, trivia games, and we just sit here and talk, And so, um, she drives 4 hours just to come sit with me. So I'm blessed with family. I hate, drop names because people like, you forgot about me, but I mean, I am blessed. So.
yes, ma'am. And that is a big blessing. God just showered you with so much support, and that is so awesome to have people that love you, that truly love you, surrounding you each and every day to support you. So that is amazing. God is amazing. Um, as you go through having all of your relationships and all the dynamics of the people around you and showering you with love, um, I want to jump into this aspect. What has prayer and your spiritual life played? What kind of part has that played in your life being transformed?
um I've always been a prayer. I've always, believed that God is who He is and is going to do exactly what He say He's going to do. That has My faith has never wavered in any of this aspect. And so, either before or any other times that I've experienced, trauma or hardships, I'm not one of those people who only call on God when I need Him. Or when something's going on, I've always just thanked Him for being who He is and let me live to see another day. I mean, for all my many blessings. So I felt like that's who I am, and that's who I've always been. I have never questioned Him and never had the why me God. Our purpose was always, my question has always been, what would you have me to do, God? What is it that you would like me to do? And so I felt like this experience, I've prayed to Him the same. My prayer may have shifted a little differently, and my ask may have been more of Lord, just let me, you know, do this or let me do this. I never was if you let me do this, I promise I'm going to do that. I've never was an ultimatum type of person,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
because I'm grounded in my faith and, who God say He is. And so I felt like that hasn't changed. The prayer has changed, but not my belief in who He is and what He can do. has ever changed. I stand strong in my faith.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And that is amazing. I know that sometimes when people go through transitions in life, that the faith it wavers and they tend to, ask questions that question the experience that God has allowed to happen. But that does not sound like your testimony. It sounds like you have remained steadfast in your faith, in your belief, in your trust in God, that no matter what happens, like Job said, though you slay me, I will still trust in you. I will still trust in
Absolutely.
your path. Yes, ma'am. And so talk to me a little bit about the small moments, those miracle moments. What have been some divine intervention moments that has occurred in your life through this journey?
Okay, so I can. So just starting out, they told my husband with the damages that I had that they don't know if I was going to even be able to make it out of surgery. They did not know if I was going to live and make it, because everything was so damaged and broken. I mean, every shattered pelvis, shattered hips, shattered legs. I mean, just cuts really deep, lacerations really. I mean, they just did not know. I lost so much blood, that they did not know if I was going to make it at all. So when I woke up, that was a blessing, a major blessing. There was another time I was in the hospital, and they have the tubes in your throat, and so I could not physically like breathe. I couldn't. I was drowning. I was woke, and I started drowning on my own vomit, and the nurses and everybody wasn't paying attention. I was like, trying to make contact because I couldn't talk. I'm making eye contact. I felt my eyes rolling back into my head. I was first in my head, I was like, fight Shinnitta, because I was just drowning so much on my spit. And I was like, fight Shinnitta, fight Shinnitta. And then my eyes rolled back and it felt like I was about to give out. My husband walked in and I heard his voice.
Mhm.
I looked over at him immediately and started making like eye contact, like look this, look down, looking at that, looking at the thing to like make to get it out. And he was like, get that thing out of her. And that was a miracle moment because I felt like at that moment I was like literally I couldn't fight anymore. My eyes just rolled back, and it's like he walked in at the perfect time, right there, and it's like I got a second one where I could able to look at him and tell him, and so he was like, "Y'all get that thing out of her mouth. She can't do." And then I just vomited everywhere, and then like little, um, just the little things that they said in my body would heal us now healing. There's no hope for this. There can't do this. And the little just miracles that are happening every day, and it's just I mean, there's so many miracles. I mean, I just can't tell them all because how you say when the doctor says no, but I was like, what my God can do, and
Yeah.
I can get to shouting up here. If I can do my holy, I get up there and
Listen, yes.
just because I mean, it's just miracle after miracle after miracle, and God, He did not build us to break, and so I'm not, I might be bruised and broken up physically, but mentally, I've never broken, and so that's blessing to me, and that's a miracle because even in the hospital I would be there and some of the nurses, and oh my gosh, the team that I had while I was in the
Mm,
hospital, amazing, the best we could ever have. I mean, we became family. We was in there 156 days, 52 days in the hospital, became family with people. I mean, we were blessed beyond measure with the care, the doctors and the nurses that we had in there. I mean, we were family, but um, just one was like, "Are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm good." "Are you sure?" "Yep, I'm good." And they used to think I was masking. I was like, my husband was like, "No, that's her. That's who she is. If she's good, she's good. There's no masking about me."
yeah.
I'm not I'm not masking any goodness. No, so there's it's just been miracle after miracle. I mean, God has really brought me through. And I've come from a long way.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. It's just a miracle. Just you even speaking with me tonight is a
Yeah.
miracle. Yes, that's why I said, you know what? God is not through with
Oh
you.
no, man.
Woo, God is not through. The old people used to say the story hasn't been told just yet.
Yes, yes.
You
Or
understand?
if I had 1,000 tons, I couldn't thank him enough, and I just
Ooh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, he has been good. Yes,
yes, he
ma'am.
has.
Wow. So uh I know it's been a trying time. It's been some ups and downs.
It
And
is.
I know that God has not put any type of evil spirit or evil bone in your body to hold any unforgiveness at all. But how has God, even through this transition, how has God even changed your heart towards, you know, the young man? And I know if you don't feel like, speaking about that, but um, even with that situation, sometimes we may feel like, okay, it was XYZ fault, or, and again, I know that you may not be at liberty to speak towards some things, but um, in your heart, have you felt like, Lord, he's in your hands, and you deal with him the best way you can? Because I know that after this we have another life that we transition to. And so, how do you feel about the soul of the young man?
Well, so funny thing is, when I, so I was actually involved in two accidents the same day, right? And so the first one was with him, and then on my way to the ambulance got into a second wreck. And so, yes, and so I mean, I was on my way to the hospital, and the ambulance got into a second wreck. Um, and so those two encounters could have caused some damage. I don't know what, but so with the young guy, who hit me. He was drunk driving, and 23-year old, like I said. And when he died, and I found out about it, the thought of my only thought was I was upset that he made the decision to drink and drive. I was not mad at him, and I don't think I had any time to focus on being upset with him. Um, because I guess I was going through my own ordeal, and then I felt like his consequence was death. I got to live, and God's consequence for him was death. And so I felt like God handled that situation for me and kind of removed that anger piece from me. So I was never mad at him. The only thing, my heart bled for his family. He like just, my son was 24 at the time, so around the same age. And so I could not imagine the thought of getting a call saying that my kid had been killed, my son had been killed in Iraq. And so that was my pain. That was my heartache, because I just couldn't imagine that, and they're innocent in it all. Um, and so to get that phone call, I just couldn't imagine. And so that's where my heart hurt. And I felt bad for him. Like, a year ago, December 12th, I had a reflection, and that's where my mind immediately went to him, like, pray for his family, because I know it's been a year for me, but it's also was a year for them losing their child. And so that was heartbreaking for me. And I don't feel like it may, right or wrong, I don't have any feelings about him and his soul, because I felt like God handled his consequence with death. And so it removed any anger, any upsetness that I can feel about him.
Right.
But I do have the message now that I tell to everyone, my nieces, my nephews, and kids I know, and adults I know, do not drink and drive, because I am the consequence of what could happen when you drink and drive. So I have been given that message, and telling that. And if I like, if I'm honest about it, I still have I'm overcoming a lot, but like at first I had a fear of getting in the car for the first time after, like when I was leaving the hospital, I was real shaky because I was like, oh, I got to get back in the car, just nervousness about the accident or something happening again. I've overcame that a lot and worked through that.
Yes.
Um, and the sound of the crash still plays in my ear sometimes. And
Mm.
it used to be loud and now it's getting more subtle. And so those are the only things that really hit me because I don't remember when I got hit. The only thing I remember OnStar coming on in my car and says, "You've been in an accident. Do you need the police or the ambulance?" And I was like, "No, I just need my husband and my son." And then they asked me again, and then I repeated. I said, "No, I just need my husband and my son." And then I don't remember anything else. And so um, that's just that. I didn't know about who he was and anything. And his sister actually reached out to me and I didn't see her. She reached out to me like a few days later, but I had so many, how you have text messages and Facebook Messenger. Well, my inbox was so full with so many people wanting to share love and support for me and wishing me well that it was too many for me to read. So I didn't see her message until like several months later, and so she was very apologetic and everything, but I I did. Again, that's where my heart went was for him and his family because they lost someone that they loved and cared about. And so I didn't have time in my mind to think that I need to be upset with him because like I said, I felt like his consequence for what his actions was death. And so I was never upset. I just hurts for his family.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Wow. Wow. And this is my, I didn't know, I thought it was just one, you know, accident. I didn't know it was two.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
God is more than good. The words cannot
Yes.
describe how awesome God has been to you. Um, you
He's
talked,
amazing.
yes, He is. Yes, man. You talked about the lessons of, choosing life, choosing joy, choosing to rise above in spite of the situations. What other lessons um, have you experienced through God's divine intervention through this process or through this experience? What other lessons have you decided to say, you know what, that's something that I don't take for granted anymore, but that I cherish? The moments with your husband and that bond of getting closer together and being inseparable. So, what other lessons have you learned through this experience, or have you gained through this experience?
Patience.
Yes.
Patience. I am so, like my mom even raised us. She used to tell us, be independent before you can be dependent on someone, talking about in your life when it comes to marriage and things like that. Always, that used to be her thing. You be independent before you can be dependent on anybody. And so she has raised her girls, the three of us, to be very independent women. And so again, wanting to do things for myself, that's the frustrations that I have. And I have to go, be Shanita, you're not there yet. You can't do this yet. Because I have even physical therapy. I have the best physical therapist. Her name is Megan. Amazing. And she sets goals for me and she'll give me a number like, I need you to get 10 of these today, or I need you to get this a number. Well, if I don't reach that goal, I'm frustrated. See, I am at the point where I'm in tears. I get so frustrated because I felt like I failed and I did not meet my goal. And they're like, well, you did wonderful. I'd rather have quality over quantity. And I'm like, well, don't give me the number because I'm going to focus on that number. I'm not going to hear anything else. And so the patience of just knowing that I'm not there yet, it's going to come. I just need to, and that's been one of the hardest and most challenging things for me because I want to be able to do for myself. I want to be able to, and I feel like things I'm learning, like a baby, like having to do a lot of things all over, like I'm learning for the very first time all over again. And so in my mind, I feel like I should still be able to do these things. And physically, I'm not there yet. And so that's been the challenge. I have to be patient. It's coming. Um, I'm laid up on my back. I could move. And, I have these rods coming out, all these severe damages that's happened to me that it's going to take time to heal. And that's, that's my that's something I am really learning to do because I'm just like, okay, I got to do it. Let's get it done type person. And now I'm just like, okay, okay, it's going to come. I just got it. And I tapped it. I was in physical therapy today, and I was like, in tears because I felt like I should have reached my goal. And they're like, no, you did this. You did amazing. That's what she's telling me. I'm not hearing the amazing piece. I'm hearing I didn't meet my 10. I didn't do my 10, but today was a great day at physical therapy. But that's the thing that struggles with me the most. It's just patience.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And to give yourself credit.
Yes, I struggle with that too then.
Yes, yes. You made it. You sometimes you have to pat your own self on the back and say, "Girl,
Right.
you're a bad girl. You did this.
Yes.
Yes, you did it." And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. You being a boss chick, but woman in leadership. I know it's hard because you're
Right.
driven by productivity and work and completion of tasks. But this is a season to say you did it.
Yes.
You did it. You
And
accomplished.
that's so funny. My husband says, "You're so patient with everybody else." And I was like, "I know, and he's like, "Just have to he said, give yourself some grace and some time." And I'm like, "It's hard. I guess I have a higher expectation of that I should be doing this. I should know how to already do these things because I at one point knew how to do them, but
Yeah.
it's a struggle."
Yes, ma'am. But little by little, you're accomplishing your goals. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Little by little, little by little. So through this experience, what about your family? Do you see the growth in your family and your friends and their faith in God and they're getting stronger in their faith and reading the word and praying more and being more, intentional about getting closer? Do you see that change in your family as well?
I do. I feel like they are always sending me something encouraging or some type of scriptures. They're always pouring into me and helping uplift me in my spirits, even just a simple text in the morning or something, message at night or here and there. But they're always sending something and pouring into me and how I am. And I feel that they are already, like I said, they already have a relationship with God. Um, so I'm in the house, but sometimes I don't actually physically see them doing what they do outside, but I know just the relationship that they have with me, and through God, they're allowing God to use them to pour into me and give me courage and encouraging words and uplift me. So,
Yeah. Well, speaking of scriptures, what is one scripture that is your favorite? And share with us why it's your favorite and what meaning does it have for you?
well, let's see. Well, there's one in James, and he talks about faith without works is dead. And it goes on, he's talking about the eternal nations and things like that. But one of the pieces that I stick on to is the faith without works instead. And to me, it talks to me that I can have faith that he's going to do all these things for me. But if I don't put in any work, then it's not going to happen.
Mm.
And so I feel like that now I'm not a preacher or anything like that, so that's my mind and that's what I mean. So I don't want any Bible scholars coming on here
I
saying
know.
yes, you know.
Barbara
but
Scholars, this is her moment.
but no, but he does say that in that scripture, and he talks, and so I feel like I interpret it to me, and my meaning is if I don't put the work in, then nothing's going to happen, no matter how I can believe that something is going to happen, but I also have to put the work in, so I can believe that I'm going to physically get better. But if I don't go to physical therapy and put the work in to work, make those moments happen, then it's not going to happen for me. And so I can, God can make, he's shown us time and time that he is a miracle worker and he can make things happen. He can say, move that mountain and it's going to move. But, he also tells me that I need to put the work into. So I do believe that that can happen, but I also feel like I have to put the work into. And so that's one that really resonates with me, is that one. And then going back to the patience that be still and know that I am God. That's another one. Those two are um, what resonates with me and helps me through this journey.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I love and appreciate your life, your legacy, your laughter, your smile. You just again light up the space. And you're still doing that, woman of God. You're still doing that. And again, I just appreciate you for just having a conversation with Cece and sharing your story with the world of
Thank
how you have
you.
been resilient, you have been steadfast in your faith, and you have survived the worst season of your life.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And let me tell you, funny thing is with my smile, and I can't help but to smile. It just happens. But when I was younger in my preteen days, I have a gap in my mouth and I used to hate to smile. I mean, I couldn't help it. Always happens. And I used to say, Mama, can I get braces? I want braces. And she's like, my mom has a gap. She's like,
Oh,
no, that's your gap. That's who you are. That's how God built you. And that's how you're going to be. And so you're not getting braces. And so I used to be like, and then it just went from that to smile. And I just smile so big and I don't care about my gap or anything, but come to find out we couldn't afford braces back in the day, but but now that's who I am, and that's how everybody, that's I've embraced it. I love my body. I love who I am. I have how God has made it me. I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and so I
mm.
am accepting that, and that's who I am.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Well, Mrs. Foreman, we number one, we continue to pray for you in your journey.
Thank
That
you so
God,
much.
yes, that God is going to continue to partner with you. That's what you reminded me of when you quoted that scripture. That we are participants in this miracle, in this work, and it's a partnership. God already has done His part. We're just going to continue to do ours. And so, thank you again
Thank
for
you so much.
sharing your story of faith, of being resilient and surviving. And listen, you're on the other side. So that means you have a work to do, woman of God. God has much more in store for
Yes,
you.
he
I'm
does.
just waiting and seeing what's your next move, because I know he's going to drop that download. What is your next move? So I
Thank
just know God
you.
is continuing to bless you. And again, we pray nothing but blessings, 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 and blessings. So you heard it from the woman of God. No matter what you go through, you are number one, a participator in your own miracle. And she also said that if you didn't hear anything else, to be still and know that He is God. We love you. God bless you. Have a good night,
Thank
family.
you. You have a good night. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Bye
Bye.
bye.